For years, the NC Department of Transportation has studied ways to make necessary improvements to I-95 in North Carolina. The I-95 Corridor Planning and Finance Study outlined a blueprint for improving the interstate, including recommended projects aimed at bringing I-95 up to current design standards, improving safety, bridge and pavement conditions, and easing traffic congestion. The price tag for this work? $4.5 billion, far more than NCDOT can currently afford without considering new sources of funding. North Carolina currently pays for transportation maintenance and construction through a mix of federal and state dollars. NCDOT is tied with Texas for the number of miles of roadway maintained by the state at approximately 80,000 miles. The gas tax, as well as other transportation taxes and fees, pay for this work. With an increase in fuel-efficient vehicles and a decrease in the number of people buying new cars, revenues from the gas tax and vehicle fees are declining, making NCDOT's budget tight. North Carolina's General Assembly instructed NCDOT to conduct a study exploring how the different funding approaches for the proposed I-95 improvements would impact the economy. The first approach is to keep things on their current course, a business-as-usual scenario. This means paying for improvements as existing money becomes available. Unfortunately, it'll take decades for the necessary funds to become available if this approach is chosen. This could potentially lead to worsening road conditions and the loss of jobs along the corridor. The second approach is to fund recommended improvements through tolling. The price of the tolls would be based on the amount of money needed to pay for improvements to I-95. Tolling charges the people that use the road. Programs that would allow local residents and businesses to pay lower tolls are being examined as part of the proposed toll plan. The third approach is to fund improvements by other methods, such as eliminating transfers from existing highway funds, increasing the federal gas tax, and increasing various state taxes and fees, including the gas tax, sales tax, highway use tax, and vehicle registration fees. While these approaches will keep I-95 functioning safely and efficiently, they may lead to economic losses as a result of higher taxes and fees along the corridor. The study's purpose was to examine the trade-offs of these different options and provide information to the General Assembly so it can determine how to move forward. The I-95 economic assessment analyzed impacts to key industries located along I-95, such as agriculture, manufacturing, and warehousing and distribution. It also looked at the impacts on future economic development along the I-95 corridor, including tourism and the military. Finally, the study looked at impacts on the economy in general and on people living and working in the counties along the I-95 corridor. Traffic conditions will change in the future due to population growth and new development. The I-95 economic assessment studied what changes are anticipated and how well I-95 will work based on which funding option is chosen. For example, if the tolling option is chosen, drivers may divert from I-95 to avoid a toll. Local residents might also avoid the interstate. However, if traditional funding sources are used, the condition of I-95 would ultimately get worse over time, leading drivers to divert off the highway even without a toll. The I-95 economic assessment was guided by an advisory council made up of leaders from key industry associations, economic development and tourism groups, the Chamber of Commerce, and the No Tolls I-95 Coalition. Stakeholder and public comments have been received through interviews, surveys, focus groups, and the Driving 95 website. No matter if you travel I-95 every day or only a few times a year, if you live alongside I-95 or far away, your comments are important. I-95 is your highway, and we want your input.